Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hcast episode number 78. Your favorite podcast is going live with a rather sick host. I do apologize, but we're still here, bringing it to you live. And I can hear myself. That's quite annoying. But we've got a bombshell of an episode today. Your favorite podcast. We were covering, of course, the Variety article, which covers a whole host of things which we've been saying for probably about a year or more. And finally, mainstream media has caught up. But the thing about this, I'm not going to rag on them too much because it gives us more legitimacy behind the things that we say. So we're going to cover that. We'll also cover a little bit of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and some other little things that pepper in here and there if we get a bit of a chance. So we shall see how we get on. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all having a great day. We're a little bit skewed on time this week because in the UK we had daylight savings, and that's a little bit in advance of the rest of the world. So do apologize. It's a little bit all over the place. Please do hit that thumbs up button on your way in. Hit that thumbs up button for your favorite podcast. And a bit of a ground rules really quick. I say ground rules. It's not ground rules. There's barely any rules here. Why we're always demonetized. But what we do, ladies and gents, here on the podcast, the Hcast, is viewer engagement, fan funding. We're always demonetized here. So if you want to join in the conversation, super chats are the way to do that. You can chuck in a buck or two and have your comment, question read out by a captive audience. The panel, a lot of them become their own videos as well. You can be what we're talking about. It can be completely separate. It can be anything you want us to discuss, basically. And yes, you press F in the chat for my voice. Ladies and gents, it's a little bit wrecked. F's in the chat. F's in the chat. It is what it is. Yeah, it's a bit abysmal. You probably heard it all in the videos today. It's just getting like progressively worse. I don't know what it is. Flu, COVID, who knows? It's a bit annoying, is what it is more than anything. But anyway, as I said, we've got a captive audience here. My brain's all over the place. Everyone's channels are linked down below in the description box. We've got Culture Casino, Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark and Midnight's Edge. We've got Andre from Midnight's Edge, and we've got Nick from Echo Base Network as well. That sucks. The fuck was that? What was that? Ah, that's brilliant. Good times. Right. How are you all doing? You all right?
All good. Thanks for asking. Better than you.
Better than you, evidently. Yeah.
Don't cough on me, bro. Don't cough on me.
It's a bit unfortunate, really, but it is what it is. I feel better physically than I did yesterday. Yesterday, I had loads of like muscle aches and my joints were painful. You know, very typical flu type things. And then the night, I had awful hot cold shivers and things like that. And then today, well, my voice is just wrecked. So I feel physically better, but I mean, vocally not as good. A bit annoying. Never mind. Hey?
Yeah, felt a lot of good that does.
Well, we were saying before we started, right? Like, this is our bread and butter. Our voice is pretty important for this stuff. Very, very frustrating. But the show must go on. The show must go on. But don't expect me to be super animated because, my voice is obviously pretty important to what I do. So I'm going to try and save it a little bit. But ladies and gents, we've got 227 people here. Smash that thumbs up button, please. We've got some first fan funding from Tom Workin, sent in $3, sent in a super sticker. Thank you so much, good sir. Always here joining in on the podcast with some fantastic questions and some fantastic super chats from time to time. So thank you. Doug, 1985, VA Loves Horror, sent in $1.99 and says, Mr. H sounds like Dr. Loomis in Halloween 6. Ah, you son of a bitch. Whatever. Yeah, there's been some funny comments coming through on what I sound like, so never mind. Larry Quadowitz. Larry is a member of the channel. And with a membership on the channel, you do get a free monthly super chat. So please do join up on YouTube memberships, or consider becoming a Patreon if you don't want YouTube to take more money, because YouTube takes more money from the creator than Patreon does. And Larry has been a member for 27 months, and he says, happy belated Halloween, H-verse. Who did you guys dress up as? I was Christian Bale from Out of the Furnace for half of Frank Michael Fassbender, for the other half Out of the Furnace for half. Oh, and Frank for the other half. Frank Michael Fassbender film. That was a very interesting film. Hope you feel better, Mr. H. I didn't dress up at all. Did you guys dress up for Halloween? We streamed on Halloween, didn't we?
I've not dressed up for Halloween since the 6th grade. I literally it's I kind of grew out of it. It's not my thing.
Well, I missed the opportunity to do what I wanted to do, which was be Gandalf.
Hey, I was going to make a joke, so I'm glad you ruined it.
It didn't work. Yeah, one year when I was a bit younger, and this was not so gray, and I had more blonde in my hair than I did the really dark colors. Now
you can get like what spray paint stuff special for hair. You should just do the white stuff.
Maybe, but
Thou shalt not pass stones.
That's terrible.
That's what he would say. That's like culture Gandalf.
That's brilliant. Well, I didn't dress up. Did you, Andre? You're still out gallivanting around the world, aren't you? So you didn't dress up.
Yeah, I'm still gallivanting around the world, and no, I did not dress up. I don't like in Norway. We don't have any kind of tradition for Halloween. I grew up seeing that only in like Charlie Brown and stuff like that. It only like the merchant are the ones that started to importing it here around, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. Maybe 15, 20 years ago. So now you have like generations of kids that have grown up with it. And like my own kids, they think it's awesome and everything. But there's no tradition for it. So I have only dressed up for Halloween once in my entire life. And that was exactly 10 years ago. In 2014, I was at a Halloween party where I was dressed as Jason Voorhees. Used to kind of have the body for it. So
that's brilliant. Brilliant. We've also got another $2 from Tom Working. Says teens doing Halloween suck. Phone it in. Yep. Brilliant. D sent in 20 Australian dollary dues. Says the Marvel ass eating shills will be mainlining copium hard. Looking forward to what Grace has to say.
I'm looking equally forward to what John Campia has to say, because he's someone that has been like defending every single one of the shit movies and shit series as they have been coming out.
That guy, man, honestly, he fucking dropped the ball hard, didn't he? I remember years, and we're talking like, I mean, it must have been nearly, I don't want to say, it must have been about 10 years ago when he was doing the
AMC movie talk.
Yeah. I remember watching that show going, this is a really decent show. Man, that guy has dropped the fucking ball so much.
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Because he was always very down with the in crowd, which is why he got all the interviews and access and everything. And that was all good and well when Hollywood was still sane. But when they all went collectively mad, he had to go collectively mad with them. And you can see that right now with what has happened since, that obviously it's those that were with Hollywood backing them on everything. They were fundamentally out of tune with the populace. So obviously that's not going to age well.
Hasn't he been? He's been one of these people saying everyone saying anything bad about Snow White and stuff are all incels and things, isn't it? Like he's been one of them that's been.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kind of nonsense.
He's gone hard on the attacking fans angle. He's been one of the worst, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, apparently, they're having a secret screening for the Marvels this Monday in LA that he's apparently going to be going to.
Well, it's not going to be any different than the shit that came out before.
Yeah.
It's still going to be the same. That's so funny. Well, who cares? It's out next week anyway. So who cares if they're doing it? What? Oh, God. Anyway, never mind. If you're just rocking in, we're getting a few more people. About 100 more people just came in. Obviously, if you've not watched any of the videos today, my voice has progressively got worse and worse during the day, and now we're here. My voice is pretty bad. I'm quite sick. There you go. I've got the flu or COVID. Who knows? It just is what it is. We're powering on through for your favorite podcast. Tom Workin sent in $2. Says teens are like dressed like trailer trash furries.
Well, good thing they're getting a head start, because with the way the economy is going, that's exactly what they're going to be. I mean, good luck them.
Oh, I can't argue with that. Christ.
And we mentioned furries, so we're definitely 100% demonetized now.
Oh, God, I haven't even checked yet. Again, we get lots of demonetization. You want to help out? Super chats. Just joining in conversation-wise as well. John Sullivan's been a member for 18 months. Thank you so much. Right, guys, what happened today? Before we get on to our main topic, they dropped a teaser trailer out of the blue for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I've seen it. I've done a video on it. Have you all seen this teaser trailer or not?
I have not.
You haven't? Well, we're going to watch it together, and I want to get your thoughts. They're not doing copyright claims on this, because my video has not been copyright claimed, so it should be safe. We should be able to watch it. I want your thoughts and opinions on it. So let's roll that, Culture. Let's go.
When I sleep, I see strange things.
Memories?
Not memories. New things. I see everything.
That is not everything. What a wonderful day!
So just pause it. Go back to the start, Culture. So stop there. First things first. What do we think of that as a teaser?
Not bad. Is this the same universe with?
It's a continuation.
That continuation. So that was Caesar that we saw.
No, Caesar's son, I think, because he died, didn't he?
All right. Did we? We didn't play the stinger.
Was there a stinger for this one?
Play the stinger.
There isn't a stinger. There isn't a stinger for this one.
Better than the trailer.
There it is.
Well, there was not a stinger back here for me to look at.
Right there.
Huh?
It's right here.
Yo, I don't have it. Anyway, whatever. What did we think of the teaser trailer, guys? Tom, you don't like it. Why?
Where's Andy Serkis?
Yeah, okay, well, right, but why else? Come on, thoughts. Don't all just jump at once. Andre, let's get your eloquent opinion.
Sure. To me, The Planet of the Apes is a 1968 masterpiece and a twist ending, and not the franchise. And I dislike any attempt at trying to force it into becoming a franchise. I really hated what Matt Reeves did to it. Kind of soured me. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, I really
kind of
liked
soured
him.
me on the whole thing. So I don't like the franchise. I mean, I guess it's like okay for what it is. Because here's like the thing: there is no Planet of the Apes movie that's going to win it over, because I'm just not in the audience for it. Like it's going to I hope that the fans will enjoy it, but I look at this and I find it annoying, to be honest. It's something that I'm not even going to watch it, because I don't like the franchise. I don't like the modern iteration of it.
Yeah,
I didn't hate the other three films, but at this point, I'm kind of ready to move on from that. Like, that had its decade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need like, we're hitting that point now of characters I don't care about. Like, how much longer is it going to take for us to get to the original Planet of the Apes?
Basically, this is Conquest of the Planet of the Apes all over again, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing, is I liked, but I couldn't quite understand why, when they initially did this series, they started in like the middle of the series. And for those who don't know what I'm saying, the original 5 films loop around on themselves. Okay, the first movie happens, second movie they blow up the planet, the third movie they go back in time, fourth, fifth movie happen, and then it basically leads back around to the first movie. So so like them doing this the way they are, I was like, okay, I kind of saw that that's where they were headed the first time. It's like, okay, so by the time we get to the third film or whatever, we'll get back to the original movie. But at this point, I'm like, are they just meandering in this stuff? What's going on here? Because this has elements that feel like we're kind of getting towards the first movie original film again, but I'm to the point with Andre, I'm just ready to move on from this. Give me something different. I've seen CGI apes 3 times now. I'd be more interested had they give me something with costumes and masks like the Tim Burton one, where you show me something different again.
Can I guess the post-credit scene of this? It's going to be like a spaceship coming.
Probably.
It's going to underperform, and we're never going to get the remake of the 1968 movie.
Well, I'll be super positive then. I think it looks great. I really like those Matt Reeves films. I think the CGI is banging. I think it looks great. I think the only issue with this culture, fast forward a little bit, so where that eagle lands on him, because back there, the compositing of the seagull, the eagle, is bloody terrible. It looks awful. The lighting's all off, the lighting direction, his eyes don't line up with what he's looking at. That's pretty garbage. Go forward a little bit more to get Orangutan Man.
No, Roman's character.
Go forward a little bit more, you get Orangutan Man. A little bit more. Keep going. You got like 5 seconds or so. Again. If you look at Orangutan Man's neck, that symbol around his neck is Caesar's window. Back in the first movie, you could go back a bit more culture now.
Yeah.
So that's quite cool. I mean, look, I like this franchise overall. I think it's good fun. I appreciate more time in this world and the universe, and I like being able to explore it. So yeah, I'm happy with this personally.
And this is better brush up than they did on the with the lighting and everything else. Like you said, I mean, a lot of this could just be render time hasn't been completed on what they're showing us.
Look at the fibers on the skin, on the hair there, man. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then go forward, you see the eye looking in the telescope. It's right near the way forward. It's exceptionally good CGI. A lot of this stuff. The thing is, I don't want to watch this and be like, oh, CGI is really good. It's still important to point it out when they nail it. The story looks to be apes versus gorillas. Gorillas have found electricity by the looks of it, and then the apes go on a mission to find that.
See, we've had 3 movies where it's apes fighting each other. I don't know.
I think it's cool. I don't know.
I want to be wrong.
It could be garbage, couldn't it? Right? But this, what it sounds like is if you like the other films, you'll probably be keen for this, but if you didn't, then you're probably a bit tired.
I think
That's
that's
what
a
it sounds
very
like to
fair
me.
assessment, and in my case, that was never enthused in the first place. I
Yeah.
don't think a twist ending is a good starting point for a franchise.
Yeah,
I
No,
like
makes
the original films, but I'm just I don't know, maybe the only thing it'll have going for it is it doesn't have Matt Reeves, but it just doesn't feel like we're getting anything new. It feels like the same thing we've gotten out of the last two movies.
Tom, you're vadering.
Yeah.
You're vadering.
To
I'm
me,
vadering.
to me, the thing about this, right? When I look at this kind of franchise, I don't need this to be anything new specifically because they're so spread out. They're so spread out from one another that when I dive back into it, it still feels fresh. It feels like, you know, I'm meeting a friend again. You know, it's that, oh, I'm going back to this world that I quite enjoy. Whereas before, you know, with the superhero movies and things like that, it's just they beat you over the head every bloody month. There's a new one do you see what I mean? That's when they're, you know, doing nothing new with superhero movies and their constant turnover rate. Then I get sick of it. But when it's this franchise, albeit, you know, people say it's not supposed to be a franchise, Andre, worthy criticism, but it's so spread out and you like it, it doesn't need to be any different jumping back into it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think if you like these movies, you like them, and it's cool. And I hope that you and every other fan will enjoy it, because clearly
Nick,
you're
we
the
get your
built-in
opinion?
audience for it.
Then we got your opinion, do we?
So I'm as far as the trailer goes, I didn't think it was a bad trailer. The only thing that stuck out to me was it looked like the lines of dialogue in the ape's mouth movement didn't really quite line up right.
It might be how it's projected through StreamYard, in fairness, mate.
That might be the case. But really that was the only thing. But I'm kind of in the same boat with Tom and Andre on this one. Like I really like the original movies of Planet of the Apes, and I liked the first one. You know, when with Caesar, I thought that was good. I liked it, but as each one came out, I found myself being less and less interested in this iteration of the franchise. I don't hate it, but I'm also not just like super hyped for it either. It's sort of like a take it or leave it thing for me, you know.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's Culture. Do we get your opinion?
Look, there are some of these scenes that are very well rendered. Obviously, they spent the time and energy and money to like this scene that you called out with the eyeball and the microscope. That's human level detail that you know you don't see very often. But again, there's a lot of muddy at that first scene and very bad lighting projection done. And again, I think that those particular elements may not have been they definitely the most visually compelling, but they may not have been fully rendered when they needed this teaser trailer. So that would be some of my guess. These films have had better CGI than most recently, and so Marvel started to fall downhill about Civil War as far as some of their rendering stuff, and there were some terrible things in Endgame, but everything since then, Disney's not been able to figure out CGI again. I don't know. It's like they're the space program. They can't figure out how to go land a rocket on the moon. But anyway, this is way better than anything we've seen from Disney of any sort for a very long time. So, you know, my hat's off there. I'm with you. I've liked the world that this is in. Sometimes the story is a little lacking. I just if it kind of lacks again here, I'm going to be kind of bummed. So and like Tom, I mean, there is a certain amount of repetitiveness here that maybe I'm not super stoked about. But other than that, this is a teaser trailer and it looks this good. Remember the Marvels teaser? Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I think looked better though? Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes with the practical outfits.
That's what I'm getting to.
Oh,
We've already seen this thing with the CGI apes. Give me a remake of the original film, the original story, but with the more practical effects, and I think you'd have got me a lot more excited.
And you know what also looks better than this? Because I agree that that the CGI of the monkeys and everything, that is amazing. It's as good as it possibly can be. But to me, looking at this, and then I compare with what Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes looks like with no CGI, and hell, even Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. And I'm like thinking, boy, they really do like to blow a fortune on CGI, don't they? When you actually can achieve better for cheaper with practical effects. Like I have no issues with CGI. I mean, there's some people who are like extreme. I'm just saying use whatever tool is the best for the job. And when you have like a movie full of apes like this, I mean, Tim Burton did it better. It looks more realistic.
Yeah. Well,
his movie sucked, but
that's a different matter. But it looked better.
I know. Yeah. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, that's where I'm at. You've already impressed me with the very, realistic CGI of the first 3 films. I'm kind of the point where I'm like, give me something different.
Yeah, no, I think there's limitations to what you can do with those outfits in some way, but yeah, well, I thought we'd take a look at that. We're going to move on to some super chats now before we dive into the main topics. Again, a lot more people have just dropped in, so you're probably hearing me going, "What the hell? Why do you sound like you've been gargling with razor blades?"
As he has been.
I'm a little bit sick, unfortunately. Powering on through getting this podcast done for you, though, guys. So that's why the voice is a bit messed up. Anyway,
can I say this before you go on, though? As far as like in defense of the whole masks thing, like we all praised Andy Serkis's performance in the motion capture, but do we forget how good Tim Roth was, Michael Clark Duncan was in that for Tim Burton? Like nobody remembers that, or at least they don't talk about it like they should, because Tim Roth just chews the fucking scenery as that ape.
Amazing, though.
Yeah.
Well, and I liked that version of it. I like the way they went about doing it. And again, I mean, CGI is supposed to be an additive, not a stand-in. And that's
what I'm saying is you can allow the actors to perform a little bit more.
Sure, I'm with you, Tom. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Did you just change the sub?
Yeah, you did.
I did nothing. I touched nothing. Both hands were away from things. That's kind of neat,
because it wasn't me. I don't have control.
Right. Anyway, let's move on to some super chats going on here.
It's fine.
E. Clay Thomason for $5 says the ape lip syncing still looks really bad to me. It's like watching an episode of Lancelot Link.
Oh, I love Lancelot Link.
That's my biggest complaint with CGI is they still to this day, that's the one thing they cannot seem to figure out is how to get mouth movement right. It still looks fake as fuck.
But this isn't CGI; it's motion capture. So
same
they
difference.
Should be able, it's not the same. Because it's capturing the movements of the lips and syncing it up directly, whereas CGI is creating the movements, whereas this is mapping movements. So
my whole point is the computer hasn't been able to figure it out yet.
I think if you watch the trailer on your own computer, I think it links up better because I didn't notice any of that when I was watching it personally.
I'm talking about the actual movement itself. It just doesn't look natural
compared
to like Chucky.
It is unnatural, isn't it? It's bloody apes.
Well, no. But I mean, compared to how they can get Chucky's mouth to move now and all that kind of stuff in comparison.
Chucky's a bad example.
I don't know if it's a bad example.
I think some of and Chucky is a practical effect lip wire.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, they're able to sync it up with the computer. And his mouth movement looks like he's actually talking now, and that's my point.
Well, actually, we used. Go ahead.
We gotta get some of these super chats done, guys.
Oh, sorry.
We got a lot to cover today, and my voice went.
You want me to read some of these, Nate?
Mexican Iron Man for $4.99. Says this trailer looks great. I can't wait. I'm all in for this on Memorial Day. Tom Workin, DC and Marvel Cinematic Universes. Multiple issues on every level. What's your remedy? No wrong answers, even killing the genre temporarily. A bomb in Burbank.
Yeah.
Fire.
There's no wrong answers. They go. Let's go, culture.
I promise you, Tom, that we're going to get to some subject matter that's going to cover a lot of this. But yeah, I think the easiest solution is to take a break.
Yeah, hit the stop button.
Yeah. I prefer mine, but never mind. Andre, what's your solution? Quick, rapid fire. Let's go.
Well, you give it a break and you come back with completely new people in charge, because the people who are currently running all of those things, with few exceptions, have shown themselves to be incompetent at it. Even those that could do it just a few years ago, well, they weren't alone, and now when they're alone, they just don't hack it anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Tom, rapid fire. What's your remedy on this?
I think that's kind of one of the better solutions. I mean, maybe if not a break, at least a hard reset.
A bomb, yeah.
Yeah, a bomb or a fire.
Yeah, good. Or
a firing squad.
A plague of locusts, maybe. That would work. Nick, rapid fire. What's your remedy? What's your solution?
Just like I said earlier, press the stop button. Get rid of everybody involved with this latest phase of the MCU, the DC universe. Get competent people that know and respect these characters, and get
make
all
one movie at a
run.
time instead of a whole fucking universe before you even get it off the ground. Sorry, Nick, but that was
no, I 100% agree. Also, real quick, while I got the floor, I did just pull up the Apes trailer, and the lip syncing was a lot better watching it.
I did think so.
My own.
Yeah, I thought so. All right, cool. Also, ladies and gents, we are literally just demonetized right now. So, yeah, good times. That's why super chats are a great way to support your favorite podcast, because YouTube apparently doesn't like stuff like this.
This is a proud tradition, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is at this point. Bayona Rad for £2 says, Mr. H sounds like Bill Clinton.
Cool. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Space Dave sending $2 Canadian says, Mr. H sounds like Patrick Stewart from Picard.
You just want me to fucking die.
It's quite annoying, guys. It's quite painful as an FYI. Martin Salad's been a member of the channel for 31 months. Epic. Wartooth88 sent in $2, says cast Richard Brake to play Taylor. I don't know what
Charlton Heston role.
Okay, right. We got one. So from Gary for £10 says, in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, an Easter egg shows a TV with the rocket setting off the beginning of this movie. Should show the rocket setting off from Rise, and then time travel. Yeah, I mean, yeah. We'll see, won't we? We'll see. I reckon there'll be an element of that anyway. But and then it said it should be about space and then bad apes with only 2 good apes, not all these likable apes. Yeah, I think it's working towards that by the looks of it. But yeah,
this should be that movie though. At this point, that's what I'm getting at. Is like you've already meandered enough.
They're definitely milking it to an extent, but yeah, I don't know. Guys, can we get some W's in the chat or L's in the chat if you liked or disliked the thumbnail on today's podcast? I think I've been killing it with the thumbnails lately. So W's or L's, did you like it? Did you dislike it? I thought it was a W. What did you guys think of the thumbnail?
No, I thought it was good.
Oh, it's so funny. I like it anyway. Never mind. Right.
I knew Andre's reaction was going to be poor because when the third film come out, I had gotten passes to go see all 3 of the original films, with the third film getting to see it early. And Andre's like, and like, well, do you want me to do a review since I'm seeing it earlier? And he's like, not really. I mean, in hindsight, I'm sure he would, he would have rather we probably did
it. But I was like so done with the franchise. But I do believe that my exact words were so.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, basically and or so. And yeah.
Right. Well, ladies and gents, let's shuffle on to our first topic, and we are going to be disseminating all the information from the Variety article. So our first topic is...
You mean Blade less?
Whoa, this is exactly what we've been saying for about a year.
Now we know why Wesley Snipes took a hike, right?
Well done, Variety, for catching up. Again, I'm not going to rag on them too hard because this vindicates us when everyone said that we are full of shit. We don't know what
put a chicken in, make her gay.
Well, it couldn't come out of that time, could it? You have that South Park episode saying that, and then we find out this. So what is this? This is a big expose from insiders at Marvel, printed in Variety. And here's what they say. So Feige is pulling the plug on scripts and projects that aren't working. Case in point, the Blade reboot with Mahershala Ali signed on for the eponymous role of a vampire. Things look promising for a 2023 release date, but the project has gone through at least 5 writers, 2 directors, and 1 shutdown 6 weeks before production. One person familiar with the script permutations says the story at one point, this is a fucking Blade movie, the story at one point morphed into a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons, and Blade was relegated to the 4th lead. A bizarre idea considering the studio had 2-time Oscar winner Ali on board.
Yeah, but
sounds like a bad sitcom.
But they also had Victoria Alonso running the show behind the scenes. What can you expect?
But I mean, she
would have reacted to all of the toxic masculinity in the original Blade. We know exactly what Victoria Alonso is like. She's the Kathleen Kennedy of Marvel, and she probably did say, "Fuck it, make it more lame. Put another woman to make it gay."
Well, this confirms.
Put another gay diverse woman in it. Make it more fucking lame.
This confirms all the rumors that we'd heard and that I'd done videos on anyway, was that this was going to be a passing of the torch movie to his daughter. This was what it was going to be. Like, 4th lead. And the thing is, you blame Victoria Alonso. It's not even her. This is Disney. This is what they do. They have the titular character of a movie, a series, relegated just to whatever, to background, and then the focus is always something else. They did it in Obi-Wan, they did it in Ahsoka, they do it all the time in everything that they make.
Well, and I think Andre can be my backup for this. I was the first one to report that it was going to be a Blade's daughter movie.
I believe you were, yes.
Because 2 days before they announced or it was a day or 2 days before they announced Mahershala Ali was taking over the role, I was speaking with one of the guys who would have been one of the writers to come on had they signed Wesley Snipes, and that's what he was telling me, was they were fighting with Wesley because they wanted Wesley to play the Whistler role and not Blade. And he's like, why can't I just play Blade when you're just going to hand off the torch to the daughter anyway? Which he was fine with. He was fine with that. But at that point, they just couldn't come to a deal where he played Blade, and he was like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. No one in their right mind wants to go and watch a Blade movie about women.
No, life lessons.
What the flying piss are you doing, Marvel? Like, honestly, it's so beyond me that this is the direction that they take, right?
Well, you can't change the world without breaking a few eggs.
Well, it's not, but they're not going to change the world because no one's going to turn up and watch it.
But what if they're all syncing up and ovulating at the same time, Andre?
Oh my god!
That would be
there's plenty of blood
There's plenty of breaking eggs.
Plenty of blood on tap on one time of the month if they're syncing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Culture. What do you think of this?
I think with the rewrite by now, I guess the fifth writer or whatever, or the team of writers, I think we're finally on track to not getting putting a chick in it and making it gay. We'll
it's still going to be lame though, isn't it?
Well, wasn't there a cameo that was filmed with Marasha that wasn't used yet that they've been sitting on for a while?
Yeah.
No, was it? I thought there was.
I think so. I thought I heard they had
rumors so that something was filmed in conjunction with like the. I was about to say the Inhumans, but the Eternals.
I think it was
whatever it
was. Was it that or Doctor Strange? I can't remember
the
which.
end of Eternals. His voice was at the end. I mean, this is apparently Feige went back to the drawing board and hired Michael Green, the Oscar-nominated writer of Logan, to start anew. Speculation around town is that the studio is looking to make the film, now slated for 2025, on a budget of less than $100 million, a deviation from Marvel's big spending strategy. You could easily make it for $60 million. This movie, you could fucking easily make it for $60 million. You know how you do that? You hire the stunt coordinators of John Wick, and you literally just make a John Wick Blade movie. It's really not that difficult. It's the most simplistic thing possible. You make it R-rated. You make Blade just go murdering a bunch of people. Done. Super easy. Done.
Keep it all in one location. All the filming.
Yeah.
Keep the crew
downtown.
small.
Just downtown.
It's absolutely, so because it's kind of like a Friday the 13th movie in a sense.
Yeah.
Because they spent like so many months and years trying to figure it out, and it was stupid. No, you don't. You just book a hotel for the weekend and you hammer it out there. It's not freaking difficult.
There's so many, like you could Blade. The story doesn't have to be that deep. You could introduce him in a John Wick level movie, right? Whereas
basically do what they did with Dredd,
Raid, but with Blade, right?
Blade Raid.
But it's so easy to do. What were they thinking?
We even got the title, Blade Raid. There you go.
Yeah, he just finds out that there's this building in the middle of New York that these vampires are taking over, and he's got to go through systematically, floor by floor.
I would pay to watch that. Would you?
I mean, you
pay to watch Blade murdering vampires in a hotel. That'd be epic.
That you totally rip off Suspiria even and say like, okay, you know what? There's these old buildings around the world, and there we have like a quiver or coven of vampires, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? And basically,
I think they're a band.
Just do like a rip off of the Suspiria movies. You just do it with vampires and place it like an ancient building or something like that in different cities around the world. Begin in New York. Okay, now you need to go and take the one in LA and then the one in Berlin and then in Milano for good measure, and maybe Transylvania towards the end or something. I mean, we just did it for them.
We should be
brainstorming. We're just shooting the breeze here, and we already basically cracked it for them.
Well, because to be fair, the first film cost $45 million to make in '98. The second film, $10 million more. The third film, $10 million more than that. So by the time they got to the third movie, they spent $65 million on the budget.
Well, a lot of that would also be Wesley Snipes' fee, because that would.
I was just going to say, yeah. But plus, they did use a lot of CGI in that first movie too, for the time being.
Yeah, but seriously, just if you were to tell anyone what a Blade movie was, this is the exact opposite of anything that they would want to see. It couldn't be further from what anyone thinks a Blade movie is. A bunch of women and life lessons. Fuck off. It's not remotely entertaining.
I want to see Blade anyway.
Gentlemen, what do you think the life lessons were?
Oh, probably
men suck. Literally, and not just vampires suck.
Men suck. The probably patriarchy sucks.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Just fucking annoying. Absolutely annoying. It is bizarre. Like, surely the thing about this is as well, right? With this process, and we'll get onto it into the next topic as well. But the thing about this, what this confirms is that they just go, "Oh, we're going to make a Blade movie, sure, whatever." They don't have a clear outline. There's no like script treatments that have been handed in. I mean, you can't sit there and be like, oh, well, it just permutated into this. What do you mean? It started as a Blade movie and then became a story about women? I mean, that's quite a leap. That is jumping the shark massively. So that must have always have been the case. Otherwise, how do we get from here to here? You know, it's so bizarre.
Well, we already know their MO, right? It would have been a team of vampire hunters. And like you said, they're all a bunch of strong women. Cool. And this is what my writer meant more about pushing Blade into or pushing Wesley into the Whistler role. Perhaps maybe he didn't mean it literally. Maybe he meant him more figuratively.
Yeah, just like the guy sort of watching over him all type.
Yep. Because that's the thing we couldn't understand. Because Marasha is not that much younger than Wesley Snipes.
No, it definitely won't be when this comes out. Holy shit!
No, they'll both be in a retirement home by then.
Christ alive! Honestly. What a terrible, terrible decision all of this is.
Yeah, but I recently updated the clips to include your solution for DC and Marvel.
What should I play it?
Just blow it up. Fire!
Just nuke the whole thing.
Problem solved.
Take off, nuke it from orbit.
I love that. That's great. That is brilliant. That's great. Oh dear, guys, we've got some super chats to get to. Guys, thank you so much, everyone in the chat, dropping these super chats. Goes a long way. Thank you. So we got one from One Land Hand Man. That's hard to say with my voice like this. For $10, it says, "Hey, Mr. Ancient Panel, a little off topic, but have you guys seen the short horror film The Chair on YouTube? I really enjoyed it and thought it has potential to be a full-length film. I've never heard of that. Is this anything you guys have heard?
So this is something that's been going around on YouTube. Apparently, it's getting a lot of traction. People are really reacting positively to it. I just heard about it yesterday. I still haven't seen it, but it's getting a lot of buzz out there.
I'll have to check it out. I like my horror stuff, so I never even heard of it.
So it'll be like the next Lights Out or whatever, I bet.
Well, I'll check it out. One Land Hand Man. We can't watch it on the stream. You never know. Copyright claims and stuff. So D sent in $20 says, it does sound like you've punched like 4 bucket bongs in a row, sucking on a candle cigarette in between, just to give your lungs a break. Yeah, right? Man, honestly. Yeah.
Sound like me almost, man. What the fuck?
I know. Jesus. I need to assess my life choices. Set in £5. It says, gents, Paw Patrol made $167 million at the moment. I'm willing to bet the Marvels will do worse.
Ooh.
Also, can't wait for Napoleon. Movie looks amazing. Napoleon it does look interesting. Does look like an interesting movie. It looks like a movie
the final cut.
Well, it looks like a movie that should have come out 30 years ago, but yeah, it does look like a good movie, to be fair. Which that does take us nicely off to our next topic. Well, the Marvels. The Marvels. There's more problems with the Marvels, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely, it's comedy gold at this point in time. Where is it? I'll try to find it. Here we go. So, what's the deal with the Marvels? Well, this is what my source had obviously been to. Public test screening in June, only for Captain Marvel sequel. So for the Marvels, received middling reviews then, and they still haven't changed anything. If recent rumors about a surprise multiversal cameo are correct, then that'll obviously be after that as well. But it confirms that there were reshoots. I'm trying to find it in this, but I can't find where it was anymore. I can't remember where it was, at the top or the bottom to all of this stuff. Oh, here you go. So this whole thing about the Marvels is a joke, right? So the Marvels opens in November 10th, right? they're not going to get much money on this at all. But this stuff about the director is insane to me. Did you hear about this stuff about the director? Because I didn't know this at the time.
Are you talking about the Nia DaCosta chick? Oh, she's she's batshit, dude.
No, mate, it's worse than that. Directed by Nia DaCosta, The Marvels, blah 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 blah. Eyebrows were raised when Nia DaCosta began working on another film while The Marvels was still in post-production. The filmmaker moved to London earlier this year to begin prepping for her Tessa Thompson drama Header. Just was like, yeah, fuck this. I'm gone. Just up and left. But then also,
has the director ever had any input on the final fucking product anymore? Like, because isn't that kind of constantly what we hear?
No, true, but they're supposed to still be around, aren't they, to promote it and stuff like this?
Yeah, well, they can't promote shit. Well, the directors could.
This sentence here, this scares the shit out of me. Tessa Thompson drama Hedda. What's this? Yeah. Please tell me this is not Hedda Gabler.
I have no idea, but there's this as well, right? So this confirms the reshoots that everyone commented on and was told that they were lying. Instead of seamlessly building on the success of Captain Marvel, this move resulted in 4 weeks of reshoots to bring coherence to a tangled storyline. So when we're like, yeah, they're doing reshoots, and everyone was shouted down, going, yeah, you're just a misogynist, you just hate it. But well, we were right then, weren't we?
As usual.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then someone goes, a source goes, if you're directing a $250 million movie, it's kind of weird for the director to leave with a few months to go. It's pretty fair dues, to be honest.
Well, in a modern day Marvel movie, I do believe a director is an optional extra.
Well, this is the thing, yeah. But this adds new context to the interviews with the director now, doesn't it? Which is basically shitting on Kevin Feige. So yeah. Now the other thing, right? So the Marvels have seen its release date moved back twice. Once swap plays with Quantumania, which is deemed blah 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 further along, and again its debut shifted from July to November. And then so they had that test screening in Texas. The audience gave the film middling reviews. So not really happy with that. But this is what they say, is that Kevin's real superpower, his genius, has always been in post-production and getting his hands on movies and making sure that they finish strongly. These days he's spread thin. I mean, to sit there and boast that, we produce absolute shit and garbage, but what actually what we're good at is actually putting it together in the edit bay, so it isn't an incoherent part of shit. That's nothing to shout about, is it? I mean, that's awful.
That sounds like, to me, that sounds like you're describing a student who doesn't begin start prepping for the exam until day of. But he always nails it anyway. That's kind of like what it sounds like a little bit. Yeah, we don't do any prep work or anything like that. It's complete chaos, but through massive desperation, we always manage to get through right in the end there. It's kind of what they're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, this whole, well, again, as we go through the topics individually, it exposes more and more. But it is that post-production. It is that post-production kind of slapdash approach that just becomes so apparent now. In conjunction with the article, we just see it there clear as day. But what I like about this specific part is it confirms everything we've been saying for so long. Reshoots, it's a mess. And all those rumors about Brie Larson being really, really annoyed as well. I bet that's all true. 100% it's all true. Guaranteed now, because this has just confirmed everything else. So, what do you reckon, Culture?
Well, I mean, we've always said they cast directors, they cast other elements that they should actually keep on. They're not going after any of these people because they have anything to add. She clearly had nothing of value to add to this situation, and as she promptly pissed off. So, I have a feeling that this is one of the reasons why things are so trash and in very last minute. because I imagine a number of directors haven't finished their products. We know that What's Her Nuts, even though she took some shots at Feige that was doing the She-Hulk thing, which we have more on later, guys. But she also mentioned that she kind of, fucked off early as well. So, I have a feeling that they just don't consider them valuable. Maybe they'll consider them valuable now because, Feige is not delivering anything of value, and he hasn't for a while. And I think they
can't sit there and be like, no, trust me, bro. This is look at all the money I've made for you. No, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. And now he's put out so many crap products. He can't go, no, trust me, trust in the process.
Yeah.
Because Bob Iger and everyone else is going to go, no, good sir. No, we won't actually. You need to sort it out. Like, it's not been good, has it? It's not been working.
I think they bought time when they booted Victoria Alonso.
Yeah.
But I think that was all it was. I don't know, Andre. You think, Tom, you guys agree on that? You think that was a buy time move, or
no? That was
no.
At this point, I honestly think they're fucking panicking. They're in panic mode. I think the shills are out in full force again. What few are left of them? You can kind of apply what Gina said about Kathleen Kennedy and kind of how they work to Marvel as well, I imagine. Although I'm not going to say that Feige's nearly as vindictive as Kathleen Kennedy. He's somebody who can be humbled. In fact, I do recall when, not too long before a lot of this shit hit the fan, he finally come out and said, well, I underestimated Chapek. He was the only one in the press or anybody in that company that went head to head with him and come out the other side admitting that he got his ass kind of beat on that one. And at that point, now we're kind of come between then and now, we're learning more and more and more and more and more and more and more about how disorganized the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been. And it's sounding a lot like Star Wars, because we all just assumed going into this stuff, and it seemed pretty obvious, at least for the most part, from, the first film up through Infinity War, that things were pretty well planned. Well, then we come to find out the only reason there was a plan at any point was because James Gunn had to. And we learned that the first 5 or 6 movies they had were not planned. They were pretty much just done on the fly. And he had to sit down and figure out how they were going to construct the Infinity Saga. In fact, he said, I think it was his quote himself who said, and tell me if this is in the book or not, Andre, where basically when they had Thanos at the end of Avengers, they had no idea what they were going to do with him.
That's obviously not in the book, because that would reflect poorly on Kevin Feige. Whereas this book instead throws James Gunn under the bus.
Oh, I'm surprised, because James flat out said that he had to sit down and he spent 90 minutes writing out the arc of the Infinity Saga, which means all the main beats were put together by him.
But this book is a piece of propaganda and not an actual.
And he needed to do that, mind you, just so he could write Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because Thanos played such a big role in that. He needed to know where this was headed. So that when he says that the whole Gamora thing was always part of the plan, he's not kidding, because he put that in there. That was his, like the Russos were working off of his plan, is what he was saying in that interview. So at that point, once he leaves, you can see the change, right? Because he did work with them on Infinity War. He did not work with them on Endgame and beyond that. See, that's when you see the things kind of go completely different. And you can really tell he didn't help at all with Thor: Love and Thunder. And we've all agreed there, because that feels like a completely different group than what we saw last in Guardians of the Galaxy. We're like, who the fuck are these people?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, shuffling on to probably the most egregious thing.
I like Donovan down there. He's like, holy shit, you're kidding? This whole success is by fucking luck? Pretty much James Gunn and luck.
Well, James Gunn, luck, and Ike Perlmutter keeping
Ike Perlmutter keeping his hands on the purse. Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Ike Perlmutter is instrumental. Here's like the thing.
Yeah.
If Kevin Feige did not exist, there would still be an MCU.
Yeah.
If Ike Perlmutter didn't exist, there would never have been an MCU.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. People underestimate Ike Perlmutter's.
There was kind of a team of Avengers behind Feige that he got all the credit for years for. That is very true.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's get us some super chats, guys. So Tom Working sent in $5. says Blade had an other element, a half-breed daywalker that's also black. That's the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gary sent in £10, says, I would have done the first trilogy about Caesar's rise, second trilogy about astronauts landing in the future with evil apes and mutants. Now Caesar is gone. 3 trilogy, the apes go back in time. Yeah, that would have been good, actually. That's a good setup. Yeah.
A little bit of way to do it.
Honestly, the only thing I would have taken out of that, Gary, I agree with you for the most part, is the whole going back in time element. They didn't really need to do that back in the old original ones.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just didn't. I mean, I see why they did it to loop it around on itself, but the way this series was set up, I didn't mind the way, who was it, Matthew Vaughn, who did the original one? I think it was, who shot the first one?
Matt Reeves, wasn't it?
No, Matt Reeves did the 2 sequels. I think Matthew Vaughn shot the original. Was it? Or no, it was not. It was wasn't Matthew Vaughn. It was
a different director.
I'm trying to think of his name now. Starts with an R, his last name does. Shit.
I don't know.
Trying to remember now. But anyway, somebody else started it, and Matt Reeves took over. Rupert Wyatt. Thank you,
yes,
Hosea.
right.
Yeah, Rupert Wyatt actually started it.
I like him.
Yeah, and I don't know why they squeezed him out, or if he just wasn't interested in returning or what, but it sure did feel like he had set the franchise up. And I didn't mind the second film with Matt Reeves. It was that third film. I'm like, I liked it. But then afterwards, I'm like thinking about him. I'm like, we just got basically the same movie twice. And that's kind of why I felt this way after watching the trailer earlier. I'm like, can we get past this apes war shit already? Like, we need to get the humans involved here. Like, that's kind of the whole point of this story, right? Like, and not in the way they had been in the last 2 films. Like, that was interesting, but this is not Planet of the Apes. It's still Planet of the Humans with some apes in it. Like, that's really what it was at that. It still is, because there's still just one group of apes that live in the California forest in those next 2 movies. Like, by that third film, I was expecting the world to be populated by apes, right? Like, that's what I was expecting. I'm just like, you're just dragging this the fuck out.
Yeah. I can't comment too much because I'm pro this movie. But
I liked them then, but in retrospect, I'm just saying, like, I've fallen a bit out of.
No. Diano, £72 says the Lifetime channel presents Blade. Fucking accurate, mate.
He's getting in touch with his feelings.
Donovan Bradford sent in $5. Says, given how much films cost to make, it would be cheaper for studios to just make a good film instead of paying armies of bots and access media types. Yeah. Well, that's something which you've highlighted here, isn't it, Tom? Is that this individual is very clearly a Marvel shill. This Can We Get Some Toast person.
Well, he retweeted this writer. It's like, sure, maybe the draft they worked on wasn't like that, but we're talking about 4 or 5 different drafts now at this point.
But the thing is, I mean, if you look, if he wasn't a Marvel, shill scumbag, it wouldn't be from this angle. I mean, the tweet is, I worked on a draft of this before the strike, never saw a version where Blade was 4th lead or it was a narrative led by women and filled with life lessons. But I suppose a lot could have happened since I had anything to do with it. He was in 99% of the scripts I was a part of. The thing is, though, literally a year ago, we were talking about the female-led business, right? Like,
that guy also said before the strike, this is...
Yeah. But then, Can We Get Some Toast, being a shill, a very clear shill now, says, comments from alleged sources sharing unfounded claims on Mahershala Ali's Blade and Nia DaCosta's work on the Marvels clearly illustrates the type of audience Variety wanted to reach. Shame on them. What fucking audience is that? Can we get some
How are they lying about Nia DaCosta taking the fuck off? Right?
Well,
you can prove that one way or the other.
Their audience is Hollywood. That's their audience.
Well, no. Well, I think what he's referencing with Nia DaCosta's work on the Marvels is the reshoots. Because remember, when that came out, when we talked about the reshoots, you got to remember, now this is media. This is new media versus old legacy media. That's what this is. He is representing legacy media. Because when we all reported that it'd gone back for reshoots, it was denied by legacy media. They refused to admit that it was going back for reshoots. They refused. They doubled down. They kept going I bet you anything this guy did exactly the same thing. If you scroll through his Twitter feed, he'd probably say the same. So what he's doing there is defending he's a shill. He's defending legacy media. That's what it is. He's on side with that. He's a shill. And to say clearly illustrates the type of audience Variety wanted to reach. Variety's fucking chills as well. What are you talking about, Duns?
Variety is an industry publication.
Exactly.
Their audience is Hollywood. And if anyone else should happen to venture into reading Variety, that's a complete accident and a nice bonus. But they are there to be the mouthpiece of the studio, which they live in symbiosis with. That is basically how Hollywood gets the word out there. And that, to me, is perhaps the most interesting thing. Yeah. Someone is out to get Marvel. Just, this is kind of like what I'm thinking. Who has enough sway that South Park is not only doing this episode, and instantly afterwards, they're doing this thing here, which is basically a complete turnaround of what's going on. I think that someone has it in for Iger here. This is.
I don't know about that so much, Andre. You could be right, but I have another theory, and we've seen this in the last few months, where the media has started to turn on Disney and basically starting to report the stuff we're talking about. The type of audience that Can We Get Some Toast is talking about our audience.
Yep,
that's what he's talking about. The YouTubers' audience, the people who want to actually talk about the real deal, not just sit here and bask in the stupidity of it and just eat it up like it's bullshit. And if you've noticed the news, the news hasn't been going with them. So I think the problem is that Disney hasn't had the money to pay these fuckers off. That's the difference. That's the big difference here.
But this guy doubles down, right? Because a smart person goes, he worked on a draft, singular. Someone else wrote the other one.
That's what I retweeted it with too.
He said he personally didn't see it. That's not the same as it doesn't exist. Which he literally says, it could have happened once I'd left. Fucking Can We Get Some Toast goes, he saw all the drafts. No, he didn't.
And I love his response there too,
Before he got hired and said he never saw Blade relegated to the fourth lead since he left. They brought on the True Detective writer and now Logan's writer. Neither of them would make Blade the fourth lead in the story. Well, how'd you know that?
Unless they were asked to.
It's not real. I must have missed the part in that quote where he said he saw all the drafts except I didn't.
Exactly. I love that. This guy's saying exactly what I would say.
And this shill, it was never a page one rewrite. There were two writers' drafts before Starbury. No, just said
they've been working on this movie for fucking years, man.
Constant drafts being pulled out. This guy's so dumb. And he literally says he never saw a version where Blade was the fourth lead. So I guess you did miss the quote. Again, he said he worked on a draft. Never said drafts.
This guy is like me, man.
Oh, I love it. So once again, we're back to my first reply. He's only referring to what he personally worked on. Now, if he misspoke, fine, but the words in that quote don't support the draft in question not existing at all. He clearly said he saw the previous drafts and none had. No, he didn't. No writer coming would have access to previous drafts, so either it came after Doubtful or it doesn't exist. Yeah, sure, because everything we've been saying is now coming out.
You know what's hilarious too, Nate, is that the Toast retweeted this guy. So this guy could have come in at any time and corrected this argument.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it's only been a few minutes, it looks like, there since they've been last spoke. But I don't know when it first. I'll scroll back up. You can see how long ago it started. But
12
minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, so by now he could have chimed in.
I'm sorry, this all just sounds like copium from MCU fans who don't want this stuff to be true. Most of the stuff in that article came directly from executives at Disney who were observing their process. Did you even read the tweet? It specifically mentions the unfounded claims from Variety's alleged sources. I'm not talking about comments made by executives.
But he leaves out where the guy hedges like a motherfucker, too.
Oh, my God.
He's hedging harder than a fucking gardener there.
This guy is such a shill. Fuck that guy. Anyway, there you go. That's so funny.
Okay, well, I mean, look, I don't want to jump to the ultimate conclusion that he's a shill because I mean, yeah, he kind of probably is, but
I do, and I will, because he's constantly revealing stuff. So he would be revealing stuff as misdirection and then revealing tidbits to give himself legitimacy. He's a studio shill. I'm happy to say he's a studio shill. Absolutely. Because I've quoted some of his stuff in videos. Sometimes he's true, sometimes he's not.
I was just going to say
based on that, and based on this action, he's given stuff to promote and then given stuff to misdirect.
I was just going to say, I think he actually believes what he's being told. I don't necessarily know if he's a shill per se. But that being said, he definitely smells of one. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear, dear, oh dear. Right. Well, ladies and gents, let's shuffle on now to a hilarious topic.
God damn it. Can we get away from Marvel shit?
Nah, unfortunately, we're in it for the long haul today. This is just staggering to me. So let's take a look, right? Insiders say Disney was incensed that quality control on its Marvel productions was plummeting, particularly on the ever-expanding TV front. Yeah, because it doesn't make them any money. The VFX logjam had been evident for some time, with some final effects for such Disney Plus series as WandaVision and She-Hulk Attorney at Law inserted after they made their premiere debuts. They hadn't even finished it. That Alonso was busy promoting her, blah, 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 sure, whatever, and then she gets booted, etc. But here's the most hilarious thing, right? So they even say Alonso was a scapegoat and point to the She-Hulk VFX issues as a symptom of a deeper rot. Using words we use quite often, I see. Namely, a lack of oversight on script development. In the original arc of She-Hulk, a flashback of star Tatiana Maslany's transformation into a Hulk character didn't take place until episode 8, the penultimate episode. But after Marvel's Brain Trust watched footage, it realized the scene needed to happen in the pilot episode. This should be done before you approve the whole thing. But I have this. One source says the so-called bad VFX we see was because of half-baked scripts. This is not Victoria. That is Kevin, and even above Kevin. Those issues should be addressed in pre-production. The timeline is not allowing the Marvel executives to sit with material. But this is the real doozy, guys.
Yeah. Can we take one moment to address something you said? Because it said there, this is on Kevin or above Kevin. Who's above Kevin Feige?
Bobby
Iger.
Bobby Iger.
Yeah. This is on Feige and Iger. That's who's being blamed here. Because Feige reports directly to Iger. He's the only one above him. And Iger doesn't even answer to the board because he controls the board.
He is the board.
Ultimately, it's Bob Iger's fault.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Well, and it sounds like they're making these shows like you would work on pre-production.
Well, it's like they're making it. They just go, "We'll do She-Hulk series. Cool, let's go."
Well, it goes along with what we were hearing. It goes along with what we were hearing from the other end, where they're constantly changing stuff. That's why we never have any finished effects. Like, that's what I mean. Like, this is the kind of stuff that should be worked out in pre-production before you sit down and have your actual writers write your series out, and you start going into the actual pre-production, of the show part of it, where you're building your sets or doing whatever. Like, this is all stuff that should be hashed out and worked out way before, any fingers put to keyboard to write a script, or any pixels have been rendered out for a fucking special effect.
What it shows to me, the VFX and all these things can be done really cheaply, right? It's what it is that they're so dog shit at organization.
They don't previs either. That's the other thing we were hurt.
They've got nothing. They've got nothing locked in, ready to go. The scripts aren't ready to go. They've got to change everything in post production, so it draws out the process and costs them substantially more money, which is what's putting a pressure on the VFX industry, making them work long hours as well. And this is why a film like The Creator, which has exceptional CGI, is so bloody cheap by comparison. Because that movie, made for $80 million, pisses all over the VFX for Marvel She-Hulk, which had episodes costing $25 million. $25 million an episode. Where is it on screen? Where is it? Where is it?
Well, to various administrative expenses.
Yeah, I mean, you actually just elucidated where it is from. It's from nowhere. It's from wasted time. It's from wasted effort. Lots and lots and lots of them. If you work for Disney, it's working for the most frustrating place in the world. They've and because of their dive into politics and a particular type of politics and a particular thing that we don't want here in this country. They've actually created a situation where they're ending up with everybody unionizing, including the bloody animators today.
Yeah, they got that done now.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, Disney, you've sown these terrible seeds, and so you're raising these terrible thorns. And that's where all this money went. It went to a bunch of crap that doesn't matter, and now it's biting them in the ass.
Oh, it's so funny. $25 million an episode. $25 million an episode. That is staggeringly high. Staggeringly high. It's so funny because you had Tatiana Maslany coming out and bitching and moaning that she didn't get paid that much money, and people were up in arms that the Netflix's One Piece actors got paid more. You know what it is that they actually plan stuff better, so they're not spunking money up the wall on nothing and nonsense. They planned it. $25 million. I mean, again, I've got to reiterate it. The Creator, an entire movie with exceptional, seamless CGI, was made for $80 million or $85 million. That's around there anyway. That is laughable by comparison. You just look at it and you should be ashamed of yourself. Absolutely embarrassing. Is it not?
Oh, totally.
Oh, bad times. Go on, Andre. Give me some assessments on this.
Yeah, well, certainly. No, it is completely and utterly insane. And you also have to do some other comparisons here. I believe that this article compared She-Hulk to Game of Thrones. Basically, an episode of She-Hulk costs more than Game of Thrones. That's what I'm thinking. How the hell is that even humanly possible? Because okay, fine. It's expensive to film in LA, and of course there's some level of special effects there. But that they would spend more on that than Game of Thrones, where every single shot has to be tailored and brought back to basically a fictional middle age. Now, of course, you have like the startup costs, which are tremendously high, and then you basically write that off over the course of the series. But still, then on average, it's a higher cost per episode. I mean, one episode of She-Hulk had a budget comparable to that of Dread.
Yeah.
Two episodes of She-Hulk cost more than the entire Dread production, including the marketing budget.
Funny.
And all for just think about that. I mean, because it was like 8 episodes of She-Hulk at 25 million a pop. And what did they get for that? And you can do even more extreme, because She-Hulk, that was an annoyance. But then you have Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
It was so expensive, no one watched it, and it still damaged the brand with all of the bullshit that people learned. It's like, so Rhodey is now a Skrull and has been the whole time, and there's a new super duper ultra powerful woman. That's the new power player in the MCU, and I bet she's gay too.
Probably.
It's kind of like a matter of how what's the return on investment here? I mean,
if this is ever anything to go by, bearing in mind, right?
There isn't any return on investment. That's the point.
Well, exactly, right. So it's all for a streaming product. So it lives or dies by its audience its audience criticism. So if the audience criticism is as bad as this, which it was for She-Hulk, it was near universal, it was loathed, it was appalled. You know, it's not going to make people want to sign up to your streaming service that this thing is exclusive on. There is literally no return on investment because it is a streaming exclusive. And that streaming platform's never made money. It's never going to make money when you're putting this shit out either. It's absolutely woeful. So bad. So bad. Super duper Scrooge, probably gay as well. Oh, it cracked me up. That's very funny. Oh dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear. Culture, you want to chime in on this? I think we've got your opinion yet, have we?
Look, we have been reporting on this for so long. I feel like all this is now is vindication because we've been talking about it forever. Look at all the videos that collectively we've done all together. I mean, 100 between all of us, maybe more. And it's every single thing for the last 2.5, 3 years that we've talked about that's happening behind the scenes is exactly what was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And
100%.
You know, and then people look at you and say, well, those aren't real. Those leaks aren't real. I'm like, you know what? Watch the marbles. Watch the marbles in what, 8 days now, or we're getting darn close. 1 week from today, actually, I think I can see it. So what do you think? Yeah.
Be completely accurate. All right. Yeah. I'll bet you anything it will be.
Yeah.
I'll bet you anything. Oh dear, oh dear. Right. Let's shuffle on. Again, we've got a few more people commenting on my voice. I'm quite sick, so sorry. Just is what it is. It's quite painful to talk as well, but hey, never mind. Donovan Bradford sent in $5. Says, given how much films cost to make, we got that one, didn't we? Sorry. Hemorrhoid Hurts sent in $7.99 Australian dollars. Says, what we need is Electric Jesus versus Cock Zuckerberg in a fight to the death in the Colosseum. What the fuck is that? What is that? That's hilarious.
We're supposed to have a wrestling match between, or an MMA match between Elon and Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg backed out, I think. If I remember right. I'm pretty certain he did. Rob Altis for $5 says, hi, Mr. H and panel. Just saw a trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes coming Memorial Day. Any thoughts? We actually gave our thoughts on it at the start of the stream, my dude. I was really positive about it. Everyone else wasn't. So there you
go. Hang on a minute. I just said that I want it to be better than the last film, especially because I don't want to lose on the story. I was highly complimentary of most. I was highly complimentary of most of the CGI. I just want it to be good writing and not full of like, what's this? Yeah.
All right. Well, there's our thoughts. One positive, one apprehensive positive. Yeah, I'll put positive in there as well. Shut up. And then everyone else relatively negative. Anyway, D has upgraded his membership. Thank you so much. Graph Web for $2 says cancel Disney Plus. Yeah.
The most consistent commenter on YouTube.
Tom Working for $2 says Marvel is now in you. Ugh. T Neil 89 dislikes puns for $5 says, poor Mr. H, the gods of colds and allergies have cursed him to do an Alfred impression. Not discussing Marvel all day. Feel better. Yeah, my voice is really quite painful. It's really difficult to keep it together in all those videos I made today. Because obviously, it's not nice. Tom Workins sent in $5 says Marvel MCU is resembling the old school Marvel Comics manufacturing. Overworking arbitrary narrative changes produced by the seat of your pants. Yeah, that's what Marvel Comics kept doing, right? They kept changing stuff, building to things really quick and then scrapping it. Building to something really quick and scrapping it. So yeah, basically the same thing now. Oh, sorry. Gary sent in £5. That's very painful. Says, when Harry and Meghan was kicking off, I heard someone say it's America that thinks about race and Britain thinks more about class. Is there truth behind that? Well, you're sending in £5. You're British. And having lived and worked in both places, I would say absolutely. America is very much is very much a race-based system than it is. The UK is very much more a class thing, because the thing about the UK is, if you look at the UK, by and large, the majority that make up the lower classes are actually white British, right? And so that's when you hear about white privilege in the UK, it's total bollocks.
It's the same thing here, Nate. Honestly,
Well,
this whole idea of it was always class, right? And I've said this before. What, and not to get too political, but what the government and media has done now is, because it used to be the man, right? It was always us against the man, and the man was either government or the rich man. And they just took man and put white in front of it, and that changed everything. And that's only been in the last maybe 10 years, if that. Like I said, since the woke business has really kind of taken over, where I never heard this idea of white privilege really being a thing up until the last few years. I mean, I'd heard of it before, but by the time we'd gotten through the 80s into the 90s, like it felt like we got through the PC era, that stuff had kind of run its course. By the early 2000s, I kind of felt like it was more of a class thing here as well. I don't know if culture agrees with that, or Nick being Americans, but that's what it feels like to me until they injected this false bullshit.
Racism during my day had been entirely, for the most part, other than a few pockets of just ill-informed humanity, was gone in this country. Dr. King's message had been spread far and wide. It was only recently that when they were trying to undermine America through these neo-Marxist ideologies that we ended up here, and that came down through the educational institution itself, college down. So once they started teaching the annoyances and lies of that, again, starting, that would have been like 2009, 2010, they really started to push those classes in college to get the kids to go to the lower levels of education and pump out the same garbage tasticness.
And they would just tell the kids that if you're white, you're racist. Right. Like where this idea came from, I do not know, but I kind of know, but I mean, that's where it kind of began. Because before that, like the only time in my history, I think culture's right, you had pockets of it. Like, in fact, the funny thing is Rodney King happened in California, right? I could argue there was probably places in the South that were less racist than California was at that time.
Well, all of these race riots are in Democrat cities. I mean,
I know, isn't that funny about that?
Yeah.
It's all. I didn't mean to cut you off, Culture. I'm sorry. I just wanted to point that out about the whole Rodney King business, and because the only other time I could think of anything major race related in my history other than that was 9/11, right?
I'm with you, Tom. I mean, I think you're right. You didn't interrupt me. I think I was done, but that's cool.
Yeah, I think to relate it back to the question, then with added insight, like. Yeah, the UK's now imported it. The UK was predominantly just class. US had morphed into that, and now the UK's begun to import it. I guess it'd probably be a fair assessment.
Well, unfortunately, it spread from American universities across the Western world, and only the Western world, nowhere else.
Oh yeah, it's not going anywhere else. Fucking brain rot.
So yeah, those that think that if they're going to find a better place outside of the West for their values and stuff, they're in for a sore disappointment.
Good luck.
Well, and that's where I think a lot of them are having a crisis right now with trying to deal with all the stuff that's going on in the world. Not to get too specific, but I think you know what I mean.
It's so funny though. That's hilarious. It's like, where's the hierarchy of oppression? Who should we support?
Yeah, right.
So funny.
And I think a lot of them are starting to learn that we didn't really have it as bad here as a lot of people like to believe that we did. Right.
Yeah. Simon Polsky sent in $11.99. I don't know what this is. what currency this is, but it says Godzilla -1 second trailer drops tomorrow. Does it really? I did not know that. I have to save my voice for that, and that'd be amazing. Israel R sending $20 says, hello, gents. With some shows getting another season like Ahsoka, She-Hulk, is that due to obligations or panic mode stupidity because of the current situation with Disney? Any excitement for the new Highlander? Get well, Mr. H. So Highlander's actually shooting at the moment, believe it or not.
I think we were all getting kind of excited about that a little bit.
Well, I have a source in Scotland that actually has seen them shooting stuff. And there's a funny around the set, there's literally a Superman in a kilt, like a figurine, which is hilarious. Oh dear!
I just read yesterday they're still planning to use the Queen music in this too. By the way,
yeah, so. I think that's great. I mean, yeah, but the thing about it, the whole yeah, they've absolutely nailed it. I think they will do such a good job in terms of the creative team behind it. You couldn't get a better team to do Highlander now.
I'm 100% stoked for the Highlander movie. So
yeah, but bloody great. Panic mode and stuff. I think it would just to be obligations, wouldn't it? I'd imagine probably contractual obligations to a certain degree. Head in the sand as well. Never underestimate people putting their head in the sand. I think that's what Disney's doing with a lot of this stuff. Head down, ESG money roll in. So a lot of it will be that as well as to why they're renewing seasons of things.
I think there may be another reason to it as well, because sometimes when a second season isn't really justified, it might be needed for other reasons. Like, say, for instance, that they invested this much because they planned to amortize it over the course of so many sequels, right? At that point, you're actually better off continuing with the series, even though the audience isn't there, because it would be more expensive to cancel everything and take the loss than to do another sequel and continue the planned write-offs. Whereas if you don't get the stuff in, the money in, that's someone else's problem. And that certainly is the case with Disney.
And I can think of a few examples that are similar to this. Lord of the Rings with Amazon. They have a situation where they're tied into a certain amount of episodes. So they have probably this huge payout clause that we've heard of, that if they don't fulfill the contract that they have to pay out. And you'll see similar things with like Star Trek back in the day with Netflix and all that business, with Star Trek Discovery. We had reported a lot of that on that, and you'll run into stuff like that. With She-Hulk and stuff like that, they're not obligated to do jack squat because Disney owns these properties. They're not producing them for a network, right? Now, if they were producing these for any network outside of ABC, let's say, and they actually had a contract with that network, and the network wants more seasons, that'd be a different situation. But where they're at right now, they can end these shows, and that's just like they just took Willow and just gone. Mighty Ducks gone. Turner and Hooch gone. And they can do that because they own these shows. They have the rights to them. They have the contracts to them. They're not obligated to continue any of these things. They may mention that they're going to do these things, and a lot of times what that is to try and gather up some buzz for something that's coming up, or to maybe try and bump the numbers up on and we've even had people that are involved in these shows come out and say, oh, well, we're confident in a second season, and they never get one.
Yeah.
And we even heard them come out and say, well, we're not so sure we're getting one. And then something like Quantum Leap comes around and they do. And I think Script Doctor, if I'm not mistaken, had told us that basically the only reason that show was continuing is because they didn't have anything else to fill the slot. Right? Like, you know, they'll run into that, or you have a Batwoman situation where they're literally continuing that show to try and save face at that point. Because if they were to cancel it, that is admitting some kind of defeat. And that is one of the few times in history I'd ever seen anything like that.
Well, that's what I would say Disney doing with a lot of their productions. I would say a lot of it's trying to save face, burying their head in the sand and going, nah. We can't admit that this is an epic fail, especially with She-Hulk, for instance. You know, $25 million.
It's probably their back whammon. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. There you go, Israel. 112 famine sending $2 says, do not confuse California with the rest of America. There you go.
Very important. New York and California are not the rest of the country. Very important to believe that. Remember that.
Prometheus Ascends, $10 says, you're a trooper today, Mr. H. Thank you. I was going to delegate for Culture to lead the podcast again. But I thought I'd try. I thought I'd try and push through.
You're doing great, dude. Come on.
That's his way of saying you did a crappy job last time, Culture.
Nearly
six. Really good. No. I want on the
Let me
record.
have my moment of fucking with him.
I think Culture did a great job. I edited that stream for all the clips, and I was like, he did a bloody good job. He did.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Thank you.
I know.
High def for $10.
I like the look on his face when I do it.
What do you think of great indie films like Southbound, The Signal, and Vivarium? Do you have any recommendations for recent ones? Signal's great. It's by William Eubank, friend of the channel, good dude who did Underwater. I'd recommend watching some of the films by Benson and Moorhead, the guys who now work for Marvel, actually, but they did a bunch of indie films, Lovecraftian based, so The Endless, Spring. I recommend those two films. Do anyone else have any indie film recommendations for high def? That's a big tut on the side.
I mean, it depends on what you're into, man. Like indie films.
There's one coming up called The Leftovers. I think everybody should check out.
Well, I mean, like, because indie films can be very. You have to have an eclectic taste for them.
Yeah, just one recommendation.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I'm trying to think of a good one.
Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
There you go. There's another. Culture and Tom have none. And Nick.
I have one.
Did you?
The Leftovers is coming out.
Yeah.
Trouble is My Business by Mr. Tom Conklin.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, great movie.
There you go, high def. There's some recommendations. Check out The Endless and Spring.
The Greasy Strangler.
Tipping Barn. When you said that, I also have to say Samurai Cop and Samurai Cop 2.
Tipping Barnes at $1.99 says there were the race riots in Detroit in the 70s.
This is true. I said my lifetime, though. See, like, yeah, the 60s and 70s were a very tumultuous time, to my understanding, in the history of America. But by the time you get to the 80s, things seem to be really on an even keel. Like I said, even in the 90s, it seemed like there was less racist places in the Deep South than in California, right? Like the race riots and all that stuff always seemed to happen in California or something like that. It's never, you know.
And it's kind of where I think Spike Lee was wrong with Do the Right Thing, because while he was correct that the people that were still that small pocket of America at that time were racist, perhaps, the majority of the country was practically worshiping Michael Jackson. They were worshiping
Michael Jordan, the Fresh Prince, Bill Cosby, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we can go through. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, Mean Joe Green. I mean, all of these amazing
Whitney Houston, etc.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, across the board, American pop culture was reflected by the black populace.
Suburban kids were trying to be gangster rappers. Like I remember kids running around with their pants clear down to their ankles. I mean, and dreadlocks and shit. Yeah.
Fat Winfrey came up back then. You know?
Oprah. God, she was the biggest thing on television, not just in size, but in ratings.
Yeah. I guess my point is it didn't really exist much past like the late 70s or early 80s, because I mean the world had come together. We'd had pop culture moments that brought things together. We were fighting in AIDS.
Even gay was less taboo by then, right? Like disco had kind of made that era like towards like, okay, gay's a little bit more acceptable now.
Yeah, so now instead of everybody's accepted for who they are and as just humans, now we have please divide yourself into these categories and subcategories so that we can name call everybody else and point at them and say these are the people that we hate because they're mean to you.
Oh God, Shield of Megatron just reminded me of how big Lionel Richie was in the 80s. Holy shit.
Goodness, yeah. Well, and then we had a bunch of Latin American superstars come
out. Anyway, moving on. Sorry.
As fantastic as a blast through the past is, let's shuffle on to our next topic, which is oh yes. So the trouble with Jonathan Majors, something did actually happen. And it's all listed in this article. So this past September, a group of Marvel executives, including Chief Kevin Feige, assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. Most years, the vibe would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand owned by Disney had remade the entertainment business in its image. But this occasion was angst-ridden. Everyone at Marvel was reeling from a series of disappointments on screen. A legal scandal with one of its biggest stars manufactured. And that's obviously Jonathan Majors. So the most pressing to be discussed at the retreat was what to do about Jonathan Majors, the actor who had been poised to carry the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but instead is headed to a high-profile trial in New York later this month on domestic violence charges. The actor insists he is the victim, but the damage to his reputation and the chance he could lose the case has forced Marvel to reconsider its plan to center the next phase of its interlocking slate of sequels, spin-offs, and series around Majors' villainous character Kang the Conqueror. And so this is part of it, right? So they say at the gathering in Palm Springs, executives discuss backup plans, including pivoting to another comic book adversary like Doctor Doom. But making any shift would carry its own headache. Majors was already a big presence in the MCU, including as the scene-stealing antagonist in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then
means scene-chewing, because that's what he was.
Completely agreed. And then they talk about he's positioned. There's the last season of Loki finale now. There's going to be an issue with that as well. And then we have this. A top deal maker says Marvel's truly fucked with the whole Kang angle. And they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until recently because of the strike, but I don't see a path to how they can come forward. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. What do we think? What do we think about this whole situation with Kang and the fact that they were pretty quick to discuss swapping him? I mean, they should have gone with Doctor Doom to begin with because they were going to introduce the Fantastic Four, right? I don't understand why, there wasn't the thought to go, actually, what we'll do is, why do they jump straight to Kang as opposed to, a more sort of ground level as Doctor Doom? That should have always been the case. And they screwed themselves there. Well, what do we think? Doctor Doom? Because there's still the potential that they're going to still, maybe, somehow.
Well, the latest thing we're hearing is that they had already been thinking about how to get away from Kang. And Doom was one of the plausibilities. But I'm worried because the last time they had talked about Doctor Doom before recent events, we had heard that it was probably going to be Victoria Von Doom. And now we're also hearing that the Fantastic Four is going to be the Fantastic Four ladies. Because we all know we want Melissa McCarthy as the Thing.
Man.
Or Leslie Jones, one of the two, But at this point, I agree with you, Nate. Doctor Doom seemed to be the logical next big bad to go to after Thanos. Like I said, I mean, why are we not getting into Doctor Doom and Magneto? Like, those are your two big, most well-known bad guys in the Marvel Universe, hands down. And there's clobbering times in the chat. He'll tell you that. It's like, why are we not there? This is redonkulous. We're, 15 years into the Marvel Universe, and we still haven't got Doctor Doom yet?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? Like, you're going to be bringing in the Fantastic Four anyway. The perfect scenario is to bring in Doctor Doom alongside them and then build towards that. And then build towards a bigger threat further down the line. To jump straight to this multiversal shite with Kang is just nonsense to me, from Thanos to that. Like, what? Build it up, bring it back. Build it up, bring it back. That's what they should have done, in my eyes.
The multiverse works for one movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. That's it.
Yeah, agreed. Literally just that. Agreed. Culture, you look like you want to jump in on this, mate. No,
my thoughts are King was a terrible choice for a big bad guy. Nobody was familiar with him. They didn't try to introduce him well in anything. They tried to rush his development in TV shows, which again, homework that most of your audience isn't going to have time to do or be interested in doing. And then, resting on top of all of that is the fact that it's a manufactured star, as you mentioned. And it rests on a faulty premise that everybody was tired of already. Time travel, multiverse. Tom was 100% right with that. I can't imagine this phase 5 surviving anywhere close to what Kevin Feige was trying to make it exist as. I anticipate we'll be getting Doctor Doom or something similar. I think you're going to get a character that more aligns with characters they haven't ruined yet. And that's why, they could go for Fantastic Four or X-Men.
Why didn't they bring Doctor Doom in during the whole shit with Black Panther? Because wasn't that all about like different like countries and relations? Like that's kind of the whole interesting thing about Doctor Doom is that he's got diplomatic immunity because he's the Prince of Latveria or whatever. Andre, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, like the king or
prince. I can't remember which.
Well, he's a regent, whatever he is. He's a regent of Latveria.
Yeah, so like he's a monarch. So he's a very interesting bad guy, and same thing with Magneto, right? And more so just because he's more of an anti-bad guy or whatever you want to call him, or an anti-villain.
He's anti-hero.
I call Magneto more of an anti-villain because he's still a bad guy at heart, but like sometimes he's right. They painted him a bit more nicer in the X-Men movies than he is in the comics, from my understanding and memory.
But the the article goes further and says, "Will that solve blah 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 blah?" It goes on to say about this whole thing. Disney executives insisted that they could afford to play a waiting game, given that the Avengers Kang Dynasty wasn't expected to begin shooting until blah blah blah. But then Majors was dropped in quick succession by his publicists and managers. He remains a client with WME, the agency where he landed after CAA parted ways with him, pre-arrest. And this is what they say, apparently, for his brutal conduct towards staff, says one source. CAA declined to comment on an official basis. But apparently Jonathan Majors was dropped from CAA pre-arrest. But obviously, they use the arrest as ammunition as well, because we can drop you because of this bad conduct, what's about to happen. Apparently, he was dropped for brutal conduct towards staff.
That does not sound good. That's just another accusation, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. Massively. It goes hand in hand with what had come out. The moment the headlines hit, the floodgates opened with people going, "Yep, knew he did this. Yep, knew he did that. Yeah." But Doctor Doom
won't seem too surprised.
Doctor Doom is definitely what they should have done, rather than build to this bizarre.
That's what I don't get, because Kang is he has such a ridiculous power level that you can get away with it in a comic where you don't have to really think things through. But why the hell would you ever do Kang in live action? I mean, and to me, that was never going to work.
Yeah, it's such a weird. Well, I mean, look, it's an underwhelming pivot. Anyway, you go from Thanos to Kang. The results speak for themselves. People aren't interested in it. So,
no. And what really gets to me is the decision-making process behind it. Basically, Kevin Feige bought into the hype. Everyone told him that, this guy is so amazing. He's the hottest thing ever. The industry has totally decided, let's hire him then. And like, wow, he did a clown so amazing. We're going to now build the entire face around him. I mean, like, if Ike Perlmutter had been there, he would never have allowed that.
No, you're right. You're completely right there.
For just to make clear, I don't mean like he wouldn't have allowed it because he's black. That's not what I mean. I mean he wouldn't have allowed anyone on such frivolous a foundation. He didn't even allow Robert Downey Jr. He wanted a proof of concept. He wanted to know that this was going to work. And it was only after Jon Favreau was able to deliver proof this is going to work. Look at the hype when I leaked this to the press. That's when he was like, all right, I'll sign off on it. There was actually a control process. There's been that. But Kang was never subject to anything. There was no open casting call or something. They basically cast this guy and did the whole thing around him.
Yeah, well, they did it on a whim as well. Like it was all completely a whim. It's like, he was pretty well received in Loki. Let's just do that. What? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Bizarre stuff. Super sticker from Ali here. Thank you so much, my dude. Do appreciate it. So, as it's pretty obvious here, Marvel is failing. Marvel is desperate, and as part of their desperation, they're doing this. Yeah, ladies and gents, Marvel is considering bringing back the original Avengers. That's right. Oh, yes. So this is when you know that they're desperate, guys. That what they're doing is clearly not working. With Iger publicly acknowledging the downside of Marvel TV glut that diluted focus and attention, the keepers of the comic book empire are considering some dramatic move. Sources say there have been talks to bring back the original gang for an Avengers movie. This would include reviving Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, both of whom were killed off in Endgame. Yeah, but the studio hasn't committed to the idea. If it were able to bring those actors back, it wouldn't come cheap because Robert Downey Jr.'s upfront salary for Iron Man 3 was around $25 million. But then we do have some rumors here saying that actually this individual, who this actually is, can we get some toast? It's the same person. Says RDJ has already agreed to come back. So do we believe him now we know he's a Marvel shill or not? It's difficult to say. Because he's got two accounts. Hey?
Because he's if he is a Marvel chill, he's going to want to create excitement. They're desperate for excitement.
True,
because now the Marvels is going to come out. It's going to flop. They're going to get the new cycle of the Marvels is finished and Marvel is dead. It's starting already with the Variety outright saying that Marvel is in crisis and this movie is going to bomb. They need to let fans know it's going to be fine. Iron Man is coming back. And they're doing it out of desperation to salvage their brand.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is desperation now, isn't it? We're trying to get like the thing about bringing Iron Man back, well, bringing any of them back, is although there's precedent for it in the comics and things, it degrades. I mean, they shouldn't have killed him off to begin with, right? They shouldn't have killed anyone off so soon to begin with. But if you're going to kill them off and have that emotional impact, then you need to keep them dead. You have to keep them dead because it undoes that send off that was done actually quite well. Like Iron Man's send off was reasonable, you know. Like again, arguing around whether he should or shouldn't have been killed off, fine, but he was, and the emotional impact of him being killed off needs to stay there. But they're willing to undo that because fucking we're desperate, pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Anyway, I'll rest my voice. Culture. All of you can talk whilst I rest my voice.
Oh, you bet. No, I'm with you 100%. I'm the wasted deaths are the side issue now. The water's under the bridge. The fact that nobody dies in Star Wars or Marvel's has removed all stakes, and it's made things far less valuable. It's made it the impact of those activities, those things, those actions. It makes that loss not valuable. It makes it really is playing it too safe. Disney, you have to kill your darlings, right? And Disney just doesn't do it, and because they can't. They're desperate to keep the audience's attention, so they have to bring back the characters that they killed off. They're going to try to use the multiverse Panderstone to make it happen. The Panderverse is exactly what it is. It's that whole concept of bringing back the better things, standing on the shoulders of better men with your terrible garbage. I mean, look at all of Marvel, look at all of Star Wars. Anything Disney acquires from outside, they destroy. I've yet to see them improve something they've acquired. Pixar, it took them longer to destroy. They got better with Marvel, after they just and by the time they got to Star Wars, they knew how to wreck things really fast. So I think about how many things it took Marvel before they got completely wrecked. So it's just that's kind of the way that I look at it. I'm in a position where they have to. They're desperate to bring people back because they've made the Marvels a woman's brand. A woman's brand very quickly. Not as fast as they did Star Wars, but very quickly we become a female princess genre. And they're not even interesting or attractive princesses. They're boring, princesses. Iron Man had to work to get where he was. You got to watch his development to see him grow. Same could be said for Black Widow. We didn't really need her backstory, but she grew throughout all the Marvels and Iron Man films that she was in, from Iron Man 2 and 3 all the way up through the rest of it. Black Widow grew in that universe, and then they killed her. So it was way more valuable. It was more soul crushing because you lost RDJ and Black Widow, and they lost them so close to each other. And then who gives two shits about Chris douchebag fucking Captain America guy? I mean, had he kept his mouth closed, he'd still be beloved, and I wouldn't have cared. I would have cared that he passed and vanished into old age. I'm kind of pissed, to be fair, that they even let that happen, because even he can be a douchebag and still play that character, but they didn't kill him off proper. And so, sure, he's going to come back. I anticipate we're going to see them get the band back together, because it's the only thing that works anymore. Anyway, I've talked straight for 10 minutes. I think Andre should have a turn.
Yeah, no. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Picard. It reminds me of Obi-Wan Kenobi, where you already had franchises that were struggling, and so they brought back the big gun. Problem is, they brought back the big gun in a project that sucked, which means that the damage was just made all the more severe. Because here was something that brought back a lot of interest, a lot of eyes, and a lot of eyes that got to see how horrible this was. Like, one of the biggest early hits that Star Wars has had post Mandalorian was Obi-Wan Kenobi. That first episode did really, really well. The last episode did really, really poorly, because the audience were lost along the way. Let's not even get started on Picard. I mean, the same thing there. Like, the first episode of season 1 did really, really well, because people were excited to see Jean-Luc Picard again. And then they quickly realized, what the hell is this? And then the audience didn't rebound until midway through season 3, when word spread that, hey, Matalis is actually doing good with this. But it was never able to get back to the point where it had been the first episode of season 1. Never got back to that again. So this is the thing that I'm thinking right here. Yeah, okay, fine. So you get back Robert Downey Jr. But the bigger issue is you don't have the writers to do this. That's the problem here. Is he so fine? So he comes back. I mean, Are we forgetting that Daredevil came back in She-Hulk? Right? What if Robert Downey Jr. comes back in another woman lesbian-driven project? That's all what Marvel seems to be capable of doing right now, right? I mean, that would kill the MCU for good, because then they already brought out their big gun, and in the shittest project of all. That's where they really need to focus. They need to get a new brain thrust. They need to get a new control mechanism in. They need to make sure that their quality is on the uptick. And when they have done that, then is when they can start thinking of bringing in big guns. And then maybe they're going to have some scripts that are going to be appealing to be in. But until then, the only thing that bringing back the likes of Iron Man can do is compound the damage. Because now you really destroy the memories that people have of these characters. But here's like the thing. You can say that it was a mistake to kill off Iron Man, and I would not disagree with that. But in terms of his arc over the course of the movies, it makes sense, because this was like the thing that Captain America told him: you don't seem to be like the guy that's going to do sacrifices. And what does he do towards the end? He has everything to live for. He has a daughter. He did really well during the blip, but still he sacrifices himself for literally everyone in the universe. It's the combination of his arc. So it completely worked in that sense. And his character remains untarnished. He comes back, he risks tarnishing his own legacy.
Yeah. It's Marvel desperation for you. Desperation from Marvel. Apparently, he's already confirmed he's happy to come back.
Yeah, I believe that, because when you look at his career post Iron Man, really hasn't been all that. Here's like the thing with the Marvel actors. None of them are going to be in anything as big as the Marvel movies ever again. And of course, Robert Downey Jr., he's going to get used to being Tony Stark and everyone idolizing him for it. But as the movies are no longer relevant and there's no more coming, when he's kind of like retired from the role, he's gradually going to be a little bit forgotten. He doesn't like that. For him to come back to relive some of his Iron Man glitz, be back in the number one in showbiz again, why wouldn't he come back? Just for that experience of it. If he gets like, okay, I'm going to live the life of the hottest guy in Hollywood, and and even though that may be bad for the movie temporarily, like or for the legacy of the character, like Robert Downey Jr. is not that kind of actor. Christopher Lee is someone that would do that. He'd be like, nope, my character's dead. I'm not coming back because my craft is that important to me. Robert Downey Jr. is a celebrity before he is an actor. He's a good actor, but he's a better celebrity.
Agreed. Absolutely
when
agreed.
He's never been a movie star. He wasn't a movie star until he was Iron Man. People forget that.
Exactly.
Like people are always like, "Oh, he's a big star." No, he was a character actor. A character actor who got lucky when they decided to give him a shot at Iron Man. Before that, he was always second banana or the friend or like he had a few starring roles, don't get me wrong, but he never had a huge hit. Chaplin was probably his biggest film outside of anything else he'd done up until the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And with his legal career, his career was pretty much for the most part over.
Well, that's what I used to joke about. I was like, he went from the guy who used to fall asleep in kids' beds to being on every kid's bedspread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, there you go. And so concludes our discussion on Marvel, I guess. We're going to have some super chats. We've still got a topic to cover as well, guys, so don't go anywhere just yet. Tom working for $5 says Kang and Phase whatever just suffers from lack of planning. Oh, yeah. Adam Wofford for $5 says, yes, Mr. H, rest your voice. The irony of me reading this out. Drink something, my friend. Also, does anyone know if Godzilla -1 is getting a US release? It is
limited, yes.
December 1st, if I remember rightly. December 1st is Godzilla -1 release date in the US. Daneska sent in €5, I think this is. Says history will remember the MCU as one of the best examples of get woke, go broke. You're not wrong there, actually. Yeah. I think that's bang on. Probably would remember it as that. Right. Well, ladies and gents, we've got some breaking news. I say breaking news. It's not really breaking news. Kind of is, kind of isn't. So this came to light earlier. Well, this came to light a few days ago, but now it's been confirmed. So what this is, and I did a video on this earlier today, is that an HBO boss, Casey Bloys, had been employing fake Twitter accounts to troll TV critics and hurl abuse at people that criticized the shows and stuff like that they were producing and making, which is you think you'd listen to the critics, right? You'd make some better shows rather than just go la 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 la.
I think this is indicative of everything they are in Hollywood right now, Nate. That's what I love about this, is that we're actually getting finally proof of what we've said for a long time. But anyway, go on. My bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's just narcissism. It's absolute narcissism. And so it came out because there's a lawsuit happening, and it came out as part of discovery with text messages, basically. It's not about this, but it came out because of a lawsuit. And so he's just come out and apologized. And you know what? I bet you anything he'll still keep his job. So let's have a look at this, right? HBO and Max CEO and chairman. HBO and Max CEO and chairman. Yep. Remember his position, guys. Casey Bloys has apologized to TV critics Thursday for using fake Twitter accounts to respond to negative reviews of HBO series following a Wednesday report that revealed Bloys. Max and HBO CEO is sitting there on Twitter.
Is it him personally that does it? Is it him that's shit posting?
Well, he hired people and created fake accounts, I think is what he's being accused of. Yeah.
That is so fucking funny.
It is. I love it. Actually, I actually think that's pretty cool if I'm completely honest, because here is someone who's actually a troll and a shit poster. That's what he is. You know those internet trolls and forum stuff like that? That was Casey Bloys. That's what he is. He's an online troll who just happened to have a private life as a CEO. You know what reminds me of? South Park again. Remember that episode of like South Park versus Denmark with like this troll thing or whatever? Because you have like Kyle's father, who's this respectable Jewish lawyer, daytime, nighttime. He gets his glass of wine and he goes online and he trolls people. He trolls women and lesbians and the nation of Denmark and everything. That's Casey Bloys right there. It's him having fun with the poster.
Well, check this out. So he says, for those of you who know me, you know that I'm a programming executive, very, very passionate about the shows we decide to do, and the people who do them and the people who work on them. And he continues further and says, I want the shows to be great. I want people to love them. I want you all to love them. It's very important to me that you all, to what you think of all the shows. When you think about that and then think of 2020 and 2021, I'm working from home and doing an unhealthy amount of scrolling through Twitter. And I come up with a very, very dumb idea to vent my frustration. Well, for starters, people that, I mean, we all get it, I'm sure, on Twitter. Get the fuck offline. You're terminally online. Get off the internet. Loads of people say to me, they're like, "Oh, you're online as well." Well, no, you overestimate, like, you know, the sort of time span. There's a bulk of time spent online, and then I piss off outside. It's very important to get your outside time. Get off the internet. Just so funny. So he says, obviously, 6 tweets over a year and a half is not very effective. I bet it was more.
Oh, hell yeah. That's what he was called for. That's what was in Discovery.
Exactly. This is the tip of the iceberg. It says, but I do apologize to the people who were mentioned in the leaked emails, texts. Obviously, nobody wants to be a part of a story that they have nothing to do with. But also, as many of you know, I have progressed over the past couple of years to using DMs. So now when I take issue with something in a review or take issue with something I see, many of you are gracious enough to engage with me in a back and forth. I think that is probably a much healthier way to go about it.
No, you dumb fucker. You're not even supposed to talk to these people. That is not your place.
So Tom, next time you give a negative review of an HBO show, Casey Blois might sneak into our DMs.
He probably tried to slide up in my DMs over Gremlins. I told him to go fuck himself because that thing was a piece of shit. No, fuck this guy. This guy is the exact problem we have in Hollywood right now. Is he thinks he's justified in going out there and going, you didn't like my thing, it's your problem, not mine. You're the problem. You're the problem. You're the problem. No, you made a piece of shit, Casey. Get over it.
You know what this is? You know what this is? This is a higher version of Director X.
Oh, this is exactly what I've been saying. This is indicative of Hollywood. This goes all the way back to Ghostbusters. This goes all the way back to Fantastic Four. This goes all the way back to all these things that we've been saying all this time. These fuckers go out there. They are so fucking thin-skinned and butthurt by this shit that they feel like they have to go out there and defend it. It's like, no, defend yourself by making something worth a shit, you dumbass. And not only that, people used to know that certain things were fucking critic proof. Why have they gotten so fucking thin-skinned? Why are they so worried about what the critics say over what the fucking audience says? Casey is the problem. Casey has taken what HBO used to be and turned it into shit.
I can't believe he's like, well, look, you know, I've progressed the DMs now. Oh, piss off, Casey.
No, you've regressed to retarded, dude.
Is he the same idiot that changed the name from HBO Max to just Max?
No, we heard that was like something that went through the board, and a lot of people weren't necessarily on board with it necessarily, but it was the one that they got the most votes for, or some shit like that. Culture, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was just they should have just left it as HBO Max. I don't know why they changed it.
We had that conversation like at length. And again, it came about because of internal.
Casey might have been one of the people trying to say, I don't want HBO associated with it more so. Because that's the thing is there has been this internal, and I don't know if Casey's a big part of it or not. There's been this internal struggle ever since.
DMs and ask.
I know, right? Well, there's been this internal struggle over at Warner Brothers ever since Zaslav came on. And HBO has been one of the prime sources of anti-Zaslav shit, right? Like, so he's had the whole company against him from day one. And like HBO and CNN have been the two worst on the block as far as talking shit about him. Yeah. So the fact, and I wonder if Casey Blois isn't one of those people who's not been happy with him. And just to show his true colors like this, I'll give him props for admitting it and getting busted and going, yeah, it was me. I did it. You know, I'll give him props for that, but that's about it.
Go on, Culture. What's your thoughts on this?
I got 2 words for you.
He vatored! He vatored! Oh, no,
in your pants?
That was fantastic. Oh.
What is that?
He vatored!
That's the Vader clip. So, what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
We've got a whole intro for it now, mate. You weren't here last episode.
I missed it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Oh, go on, Nick. You want to say something on this, didn't you?
Of course you do, Nick.
I mean, I gotta be honest. If I was in his position, I might do the same thing. I might do the same thing, man. I mean, I agree completely with what Tom was saying. It is not his place to be doing that sort of stuff. They have people, PR people that handle stuff like that. But man, it's different when you're actually, you know, getting your hands in the dirt, for yourself,
If I may for 2 seconds here, look, I'm the kind of asshole who loves to comment on every goddamn thing.
Yeah.
But you know what Andre does? He tells me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And he's right.
It's true. I am right.
That's why he had to do it secretly, and not, under his own, just like Tom does with his alt account,
Yeah, we
So
go.
I
Andre
don't know
can't
how
get
to
mad
have
at him.
multiple fucking accounts. That's the problem.
Well, who is to say that I don't have multiple troll accounts? But
I was going to say, if anything,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the day Andre goes, look, I understand your need to comment, but if you're going to do this, you need to come up with a fake account.
Exactly, like me.
I think everybody out there has a troll / AKA fake account out there.
I'm serious. I don't, because ask Andre. I can't even manage fucking signing in and out of my account into the main Midnight Savage account without fucking something up.
Yeah, I definitely have one so that I can go see people's posts that have blocked us. So I can get like screenshots and that sort of thing. Or comment in videos that we've been blocked on. But I think it's hilarious that this dude got busted doing this, and he's having to now come out and admit to it and apologize. But yeah, like I said, if I was in his position, I might be that guy too that goes out and does some dumb shit like that.
Yeah, if I'm gonna say dumb things or inflammatory things, I say it with my account, Culture Casino. So
do we think he's going to keep his job now?
Oh yeah,
he's not going nowhere. Yeah,
they're all guilty of it. He just admitted it. That's all. That's my point from the start, right?
This is not a fighterable offense.
Yeah. Anyone got any other thoughts on this? Want to chime in?
I think it's
they'd be better off if they got rid of him.
Yeah, nothing would, but a completely different reason.
Dear, oh dear. Right, well, there you go, ladies and gents. We're gonna shall we roll the Grace dumb shit intro thing?
We can talk a little bit about it. Tom hasn't seen it yet.
So what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
It's one of the greatest things I ever saw. I loved it.
It's a masterpiece.
Oh dear. Here's some dumb shit.
Rachel Zegler. She kind of does it to herself, but I feel very bad for her. All right, let's talk about this. The movie space, it's rough. It's rough being a woman in the public space. I have my own issues. But let's just say AI is being used in a really appalling manner for the Marvels. Way.
I have to say, and I hit the pause button, I have to say she's right. She does have her own issues.
Yeah, but they're not the kind that she's thinking. Look. It's this whole idea that women have look, women got it easy. I love this idea where women think it's so rough. All you got to do is bat your eyes and go, I don't understand. And 20 men will be there instantly offering you dick to help you out.
Well, is that how you help out a woman, Tom?
Well, that's from a Chris Rock joke.
Oh, okay.
He's like, women know how to turn down sex because they literally get offered dick 500 times a day. Can I help you with that? Here's some dick. Can I get the door for you? Here's some dick.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. That's true. All right, we'll keep it going.
But I have to say, I feel like it's really horrible that it happens to these women, but I think it's a little bit partially their own. It's nobody deserves to be treated like this, but I feel like, they're not helping themselves. They're leaning into it.
She almost said, I feel like it's their own fault. She couldn't.
Then she backtracked real quick.
Yeah.
This is the mental gymnastics.
Dude, I cut out like the bits where she went completely off the rails, right? And this is literally inside of 5 minutes. She says all this dumb shit about, her feminist views, and they're like contradictory and all over the place. But yeah, I'll keep going here.
It's made covering this movie. I'm not talking about official poster. I'm talking about poster frames on YouTube. It's just a very difficult situation. And I don't know if this movie.
Back that up a second. What the fuck did she just say?
Oh, the poster frame thing?
Well, what the fuck was that? Yeah, back that up.
Okay.
Please and thank you.
Okay, but okay. No. Now she's referring to the AI stuff that's being done online.
I feel like they're not helping themselves. They're leaning into it. It's made covering this movie. I'm not talking about official poster. I'm talking about poster frames on YouTube.
Now she skitzed out there, or it looks like she did, because she was reading a comment that she didn't show on the screen that was in her live stream.
Does she know how to English?
Maybe, I don't know, but the fact that she didn't bring out what she's talking about makes everybody go, "What?"
Well, I don't want to make fun of her if she doesn't.
No. I just, yeah. She, again, apparently there are some bad poster representations on YouTube of some
maybe that stupid Queen one that came out. Maybe she might be talking about. I suppose, perhaps. I'm not so sure that's real, but yeah.
It's just a very difficult situation, and I don't know if this movie can recover. Quite frankly, it's tough for women in the public eye. It really is, and it's unfair. But as I've told you before, just because something's unfair doesn't mean that it's not something you have to deal with.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, we only have a little bit more of this, but she is so all over the place. I mean, I was like, I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out what she said in like this.
She's high as fuck on copium, is what she is.
No, it's none of it makes sense, but we'll keep going because there's a bit more.
This segment on the second channel will be titled Grace Randall's Feminist Rambles.
There you go.
Here's her eye makeup weird.
Have you never seen Grace Randall before?
Grace frame.
I mean, I'm just saying. Look, that's a perfect. Nate, you should literally make that the thumbnail on the other channel. Her face with her weird looking eye like that.
Nick, God love you. Let me tell you something. I cut out the bit where she was talking about her Halloween costume that she was going to wear for this Beetlejuice like watch along party that she was hosting. This is her. She went a little darker on her eye shade for that reason. So,
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
But honestly, I don't know if it's any different. But she said she went with a darker eye shade. What?
Darker than black. Oh, I love.
Just stuck. It's really tough. All right, and so this is just something that unfortunately these women have to navigate. And I think that for the most part, they are not doing a very good job of navigating it. They're just like digging in. They're like just digging deeper and deeper. And you're like, what are you doing? And then also
what are they doing? Well, you're going to get to it in a minute. Now, again, the reason I broke it up the way it is because this is how she goes linearly. She pulls up the image of this Snow White thing, but then she's going to get back to commenting on women again.
Maybe I saw some of you say maybe Rachel Zegler can improve her image, but for that to happen, Rachel Zegler would want to have to improve her image.
She would. I agree with her. She's 100% right there. 100%.
Come on.
And I gotta tell you, I think she's pretty happy with her image because I think she has like a small but potent fan base that back her up, and that's not doing her any favors either. They should be like, Rachel, I think that you may be, I think Rachel Zegler has to decide, like a lot of actresses, what business she's in. Is she an actress or is she an activist? And, some actors like to be both, but it's awfully hard to be very successful as an actor and also be an activist. It's almost impossible. Usually people become activists when their acting career isn't going very well. And so they're like, well, they might as well do something with their fame. And
Is she making sense right now?
No, mate.
I'm literally watching the tennis match taking place in her brain when she's saying this stuff.
Well, she's not wrong about this, though, about like failed actors becoming an activist and Rachel Zegler. Like, she's not wrong. Like, she's not saying anything bad here. If you ignore what she said earlier about how hard it is for women, which is in this particular line of work is blatantly untrue. But if you ignore that, everything since has been fairly spot on. I mean,
that's why I said that. I was like, hang on a second.
No. And again, like this better, like Grace Randolph, sometimes she has some shit takes, but most of the time she has some really, really solid takes that are thoroughly informed, and this is one of them.
Yeah,
by the sounds of it.
Well, and what's funny is this is one of my guilty pleasures is watching her now on Beyond the Trailer. So buckle up for more clips. But oh boy,
that's what they decide to do. It's a pretty famous saying that it's best to say as little as possible so that everybody feels like you agree with them.
Well, all of that is true. But again, and she's right in saying that activists, actors, etc., but she's still doing a juggling match in her brain on what she can and can't say to support her ideological belief system and her ideological stance in the public eye. She's literally doing what she's accusing Rachel Zegler of, an activist or in her eyes, a critic. What she would be there anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
now.
No, Nate, I mean, like you can see the intellectual somersaults and, gesticulations that she has to do to get this out. So anyway.
Like that's a standard PR technique. And, also you want people to see you as the character. Like when you look here, you should say, oh, wow, it's Snow White. But instead you're like, oh, look, it's Rachel Zegler's next movie, right? I mean, I think that it's really tough. That's funny, Toon Dude 19's like, you want to be bland like Taylor Swift. That's true. And, the less bland Taylor Swift gets.
What?
Look, I mean, the thing is, no one knows who Rachel Zegler is. They only know her because she opened a bloody mouth anyway. She was a nobody.
Well, we could, like I said, there's a couple more seconds to this, but anyway, the point has been made. I just thought it was interesting that, these are her ideas on feminism all broken down into like 10 minutes of restraint. Like, wow.
Painful stuff.
Anyway, thanks for letting me share.
So what kind of dumb shit did Grace say this week?
It's one of the greatest things I ever saw. I loved it.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
What do you think to the intro to that now, Tom?
It's brilliant.
So it's one of the greatest things I ever saw.
I loved it.
It really is.
Dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear. Right, guys, quick sound off. Promote some stuff. What you got going on?
Nick.
Culture.
Oh. Nick.
Anyone?
Chill stream.
No chill stream. No chill stream. Tonight, I backed off of doing Thursday nights, especially right now because Coach can't be there, and I'm so busy at this time of year with work stuff. I can't commit to it. So I'm still planning on trying to do a Wednesday afternoon thing, like around the same time that we do the Thursday ones at 1:00 Central Time. But I just haven't had time to reach out to some folks and get some stuff put together just because I've been so busy. But our normal Saturday night live stream every Saturday night, 7:00 Central Time in the States. Our good buddy Olaf here, moderator in chat, is a mod for us over there as well on Saturday nights. And, we were a kind of exclusive Star Wars channel, but we have moved beyond that, and the algorithm is not really liking it too much. So if you guys want to help us fight the algorithm of YouTube, until YouTube starts seeing us as not a Star Wars only channel, come give us a sub, check us out.
There you go. Culture, what you got going on, bud?
Oh yeah, no, I've got my regular live streams tomorrow. A very special guest on the interview, the post-flight interview show. That's going to be Drunk 3PO joining me after he made news on my channel by dropping a bunch of tea that Gina had kind of given him some information on the Sunday night show, the late night show. So he'll be joining me as the guest for the interview on the post flight on Friday. So hope to see you there. Otherwise, it's just the regular Monday live streams, Monday through Friday live streams, and hanging out with the Midnight's Edge folks Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So do check me out. Oh, and later tonight, check me on Comics Division's channel. We are going to go through some of what you've seen and a lot of stuff you didn't. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, Andre, speaking of Midnight's Edge, promote some stuff.
Yeah, check out Midnight's Edge in the morning, which is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as Culture just said. At it's synced after 9 a.m. in the morning LA time, and now with daylight savings time being at different places, just do the calculation for exactly what time it's going to be, but. Should be around 5 p.m. UK time still.
Yeah. Okay. Tom, you got anything you want to show?
Midnight's Edge After Dark in about 90 minutes. Yeah.
There you go. And guys, from me, plenty of content coming out. I've been slamming out videos left, right, and center, 4, 5, 6 a day. So expect more of that. I hope you enjoy them all. Please do check out the second channel down below in the description box where all these streams go and all the clips and best bits. So if you've missed part of the stream, you can catch up on the second channel. They get uploaded in a chunk, so there'll be a few to go up all in one go. Follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, Mr. H Reviews. Thank you so much, ladies and gents. From me and everyone else, take care. Cheers.
We got a super chat that snuck in.
So we do. Tom Working says, I think the Ziegler Snow White should release as a reality TV series of a conflicted production. Oh, you're not wrong there.
That would be a funny comedy TV series.
Oh my God. Can you imagine the reality TV series of Rachel Ziegler? Christ alive.
Don't give them ideas. I mean, that can happen before you know it.
Oh, God. God damn right. And on that note, guys, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye now. Peace.
Bye, guys.